Hello, welcome back to Raising Well-Nourished Kids, where we discuss all things parenting and health and wellness. Have you had a good Chrissy break?
I have.
Yeah.
I just can't believe how fast
Oh, it just flies by, doesn't it?
it
When you're having a
does.
good time.
It does. It's always good to stop.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
what I like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So important.
Mm.
Okay, today we're going to talk about a really common issue that so many parents face right after the Christmas holidays. We've all been there. We'll all be there again. It's just, we're going to talk around kids becoming irritable, perhaps developing or escalating with their picky eating. Really, today's a great listen if you are finding it tough to get back on track. Stick around. We've got some really practical tips to help get back on track, and before you know it, it'll be smooth sailing again. So, the first tip that we have for you is just around establishing routine, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So holidays, you kind of generally let things relax.
Yeah.
And that's also, for me,
It's
with school
important.
holidays, 8 weeks, and I know that letting go of or letting the routine relax was awesome to begin with.
Yep.
And then by January, I would start to kind of get like a nervous. The kids would get ratty.
Yep.
And
you crave. It's natural, isn't it? Even like as an adult going on a holiday.
Yes.
Even if it's just my hubby and I.
Yeah.
And I get towards the end of the holiday and I'm like, okay, time to get back to the routine.
Yeah, definitely. Routine's really important.
Yes.
For us and more important for our kids.
Yeah.
So, and, most kids are going back to school, and even if they're not, just having that regular rhythm that they can kind of rely upon.
Yes. Because that makes kids feel safe, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like we all find safety in routine.
Totally. And it's like their nervous system can rest in the consistency and the solidness of that routine. Like they know that, okay, dinner's at 6 and brekkies at this time and we have lunch together, or whatever the routine is in your place. But so start bringing in the routine.
Yeah.
And even if it's just a small amount each day, so you're not going from loose and holiday mode to rigid routine. And this is why you definitely want to do it before kids are going back to school.
Yeah.
So you're kind of easing into a routine.
Yes.
Again, way before kind of school's back.
Yeah.
And sleep is a huge thing. So making sure kids kind of are getting back to that usual bedtime routine where they're starting to go to bed at the same time at night.
Yep.
Starting to get up at the same time in the morning.
Yeah.
And you're just bringing that routine back.
Yeah. Consistent meal times, like regular, back to the normal dinner time, back to a regular kind of snack and meal routine so that they're having lunch at the time that they're going to be eating lunch at school as well.
Yes.
Snack times around the same time, because I think it can really knock them off balance, can't it, when they go back to school and they're used to having their lunch on holidays at like 2:00 in the afternoon, and it's served at, they're expected to eat lunch at 11.
Yeah.
Kind of doesn't work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. For me as well, balanced meals, like reestablishing those healthy eating habits. Specifically focusing on just getting as much variety into your kids' diet. Remember, if you have got a picky eater and, you're listening to this thinking, oh, it's all very well that, I know they need balanced meals, but that's not it's not our reality. Remember that addressing picky eating habits, it actually starts well and truly outside of you sitting down to eat that balanced meal. And it's what we chip away with here on the podcast. We definitely have like a very structured program where we run through all sorts of approaches around picky eating. We do talk about meals and meal structure quite a lot, but definitely addressing picky eating habits doesn't happen when you sit down to eat the meal. And I think it's a big mistake that a lot of people will make, is that they just present the meal and hope and keep their fingers crossed that their kids are going to like it and enjoy it and eat it. And that often isn't enough.
Well, I think of me as a parent when my kids were younger, and the day, like, you just are, for me, often I felt like I was just going from one thing to the next and didn't have time. And then it would be mealtime, and then, oh yeah, I've got this.
Yes.
So we get that happens.
Yeah.
I guess it is kind of starting to
get curious, isn't it? About other things that support your kids.
Totally that, and kind of make it as a whole. It's almost got to be a lifestyle change,
it is. Absolutely.
Where you are talking about food, educating kids about food, getting them involved in things. And that's a great time to start in the holidays.
Yep.
Before they go back to school, before any of you are really stressed.
Yeah.
Where you can, like with your kid that kind of is a little bit picky, where you can go to the markets and you can look at different fruit and veggies.
Absolutely.
And
they're definitely all the little things
you
that
can
can
do
help.
all this stuff before you get to the table.
Yeah, but look, if you have got a good eater, then obviously focusing on just having lots of variety, a good combination of fruits and vegetables and protein and whole grains, limiting those sugary treats is something that we all need to do, whether we have a picky eater or not.
Yes, hopefully the Christmas cake's finished.
Absolutely, yeah, and just again gradually just reducing the number of sugary snacks. And treats that are being handed out. I know we've done a podcast on snacking and on treat days. It's a concept that I found is enormously helpful when you are you're heading back into kind of routine, is to have a strategy, and treat days was always my strategy. Basically, it just involves, we have done a whole podcast on it. I can't remember off the top of my head what number that was, but you can scroll back and see if you can spot it. But basically, you have a certain number of days that you agree with your family are going to be treat days. And they're the days that they're given treats. So it's not a blanket ban on treats, but it is boundaries around giving treats. And, it really, really helps to have that boundary set up so that you all know what the expectation is, and that boundary is a lot more easily enforced when that is there.
Yeah, and you can kind of educate your kids, like we speak a lot about planting seeds, like why we need to eat a balanced meal, a balanced diet, and kind of have less sugary treats. And you can kind of tell them what happens in the body or how they might feel when they eat balanced meals compared to when they eat a lot of sugar.
And that is where, again, getting out of the routine and letting kids overindulge is, again, has its advantages, because you can go back to those situations where they perhaps didn't feel so great after eating too much Christmas cake at Christmas, for example. And again, like you said, join the dots between how they felt back then when they have overindulged in treats.
And even kids are really savvy. Like they will, because most of us, when we have a lot of sugar, we get those highs and lows in our mood, in our energy, and you can point that out. Kids will kind of get that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Jane was saying before, participation is really important. Let your kids get involved with meal planning. I feel meal planning for me is a really important part of getting back into routine, because when I have a plan, I head to the table feeling calm, relaxed, confident that I'm able to present a balanced meal, as opposed to just being in being a red hot mess, heading to the table, feeling stressed, and then my kids pick up on that stress, and then they're more likely to act up if I'm not feeling calm. So as I said, getting back to routine meal planning is important, but you can get your kids involved in meal planning.
I think that's really important.
Give them an opportunity to have a say in what's coming up. We've done lots of different involvements in my own family. Sometimes we've gone through phases, particularly picky eating phases, where it's like one night it's one child's choice, the next night it's dad's choice, then it's another child's choice, and it's my choice. And then, just rotating that, just so everyone has a turn and gets to eat what they kind of, choose. So, just I think that's basically it for nutrition for me. I don't want to expand any further, otherwise this becomes like a 2-hour podcast. But
with the meal preparation, again, holidays, great time, because generally you've got a bit more time, you're a bit more relaxed, and huge opportunity to educate your kids. Something that you can also do when you are kind of relaxed, prepare, they're kind of with you, you're doing things alongside, is you can start to talk about boundaries, expectations,
because they're an important part of getting back on track once again, aren't they?
Oh, just life in general.
Essential.
Yeah. And it is important to kind of, I think it's super helpful is better than saying it's important to talk to kids about expectations and why they're in place. When you're calm, when you're kind of doing something side by side, when they're in a good mood, when you're in a good mood.
Not in the heat of the moment when things are going wrong.
Oh, exactly.
For me, I was saying to Jane earlier, it was something that I've learned from her that has just profoundly changed everything, even in parenting teenagers, like when they're emotional and when they're and it's not something I definitely didn't do when they were little. I try and make sense of situations when they were really not doing great. And I know now it was not the right thing to do. But now I've changed tacks and I'm getting better and better at just stepping away from meltdowns and then, like you said, revisiting the emotion once they're actually feeling calm and in control, and once I'm feeling calm and in control as well.
Yeah. Well, kids, and like we can't hear things when we're emotional or when we're not regulated.
And they can't.
Totally. So when we're hungry, when we're tired, and our kids are exactly the same, the information actually doesn't go in, and it kind of creates more dysregulation or more tantrums. So start to bring in expectations when you're in that holiday time, when you're kind of cruisy. So and educate your kids, like, this is why we're doing these things. You know, I'm not trying to be nasty or mean or have all the power. I care about your health. And my health. So these are the things we're going to start to put in place.
And I find as they get older, they actually rely on you bringing them back into that routine. And when even there have been times where I perhaps delayed doing that, and my kids are like, hey, I need to start, like, as they've gotten older, like I feel like I've not eaten so great over the holidays. Can we get back to some health? Like, they've actually asked for it. And when they were little, if you'd have told me that would happen, when they were older, I would have said not a chance in hell. But, you know, like you said, we're planting seeds that definitely fruit later in life.
Well, and what we're wanting is for them to link their actions with how they feel.
Yes.
Because we want them to do that with food, but with life in general. You know, when I'm with this person, I feel like this. When I do this, I feel like this. So they kind of learn to live from the inside out rather than from the outside in.
Yeah, beautiful.
So when you are helping them, when you're starting to kind of graduate your family from Christmas towards school.
I love it, graduate.
Make sure that you make small gradual changes.
Yes.
Rather than big ones. So I know for myself, like getting caught up, and then all of a sudden school starts on Monday and I'm totally unprepared and I haven't thought about their sleep routine or food or any of those things. And, you know, we worked it out, but it meant that things were rockier for them.
Yeah.
And I could have made it easier for them and for me if I just kind of thought a few weeks in advance, all right, let's start getting your sleep back. Let's start thinking about food. Let's start eating out of lunchboxes if they've never eaten out of lunchboxes. Just kind of thinking of those kind of things. Small gradual changes. Praise and encourage them when they are doing well. And
acknowledging that, the good behaviour and the good
small
things.
Tries. Them kind of doing the things that are good for them and helpful. And I used to find as a parent, I noticed all the negative things.
Yeah, me too.
And not what they were doing well or not where they were really trying. It was like I didn't really see them sometimes. I was more worried about how they reflected on me as a parent. So something else to really work on in holiday times is really creating that pleasant mealtime environment. So as much as you can, hopefully you're not having to work every day. You've got more time and space. Take the time and space to sit down together and to make eating and learning about food and trying different things a positive experience.
And if you've missed the boat and you haven't done that during the school holidays, then it's something that you can start now.
Totally.
You know, like it's never too late to start eating together.
I agree.
Importantly, without distractions.
Yes.
Like turning the screens off. focusing instead on just eating, on conversation, and on just being together.
Yeah.
Really.
And even though that's that's huge.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing more and more people with social anxiety, not knowing how to have a conversation,
Yes.
not knowing, just freaking out being with somebody.
Yeah,
because we're on a screen all the time.
Yes.
And adults and kids, we get uncomfortable and we go straight to the screen. We don't learn how to work through the discomfort. So really encourage you with your kids and yourselves to make at least mealtimes screen free.
Yep.
So you are flexing that muscle of conversing, being in relationship, having someone see you, you being curious about someone else, you working through the discomfort of, I don't know what to say, or have I said the wrong thing, all those things that are so important, and screens rob from us.
Yep.
And they make us human.
Yeah.
So super important.
And mealtimes, I think, is the most perfect opportunity.
Yeah.
I tell you, mealtimes and when your kids are learning to drive, for me.
Oh, gosh. Don't even go there.
Honestly, though, I have had more conversations with my kids when they're learning to drive, because they're driving.
Yes, so true.
And I'm conversing with them, and they can't pick up their phones.
Yes, so true.
Because they're driving.
Yes.
So in our household anyway, it's at dinner time. That's always been our blanket rule. There's absolutely no screens, no TV on in the background. There's nothing. There's just us.
Yeah.
We occasionally, like if my husband's away for work or something, the kids would be like, when they were little, can we put funny home videos on while we eat dinner? And we would do that. That was an exception, not the rule. Yeah. But anyway, the learning to drive stuff, that's fun times.
It is. So again, in this holiday time, can be a time where you can kind of start to get to the root of some behavioural challenges that your kids might be having. For me, it's always important that you get curious about what's the need. So kids act out or have these behaviours for a reason. They're not trying to piss us off. They're not trying to they're not trying to annoy us. They're not trying to be naughty. There's a reason for it. So you can support your kids to start to get curious, and you can get curious. I wonder if you're tired. I wonder if being at the shops was just too much today. I wonder if the party and all the food was a bit much. I know for me it would be. I'll always add my piece. So I'm not kind of pointing the finger and making them feel. I'll always be like, I know if I drink a can of Coke, I feel really buzzy and headachy after. Or, so I kind of normalize their experience for them. Support them to kind of get curious about why they threw something or why they're getting so agitated at their sister, rather than just always correcting the behaviour. It's like getting to the root cause, I guess. And in another, in saying that, supporting your family to come back to that calm, regulated, structured environment to help all of you kind of reduce stress. Like if you think of the lead up to Christmas, like October, November, December, I know for me, November I'm knackered and strung out, and there's just one thing after the other, after the other, and then a pressure of family dynamics and Christmas, and it can get really hectic. And then
for some people more than others.
100%. And for kids, there's the excitement, and then there's the coming down, and then there's the routine. Bring in the routine and the normal, and this is your role, this is my role. Just kind of coming back to that. Well, the structure creates the calmness, doesn't it? You know, without the structure, it's chaotic. Which is anxiety provoking for a lot of kids. Actually.
I always found like outdoor play would be just such an important thing, just to help burn off energy and improve mood. And just planning kind of activity around physical exercise to make it kind of fun and engaging. And that really helped as well. For my kids when things were kind of going pear-shaped and the wheels had fallen off.
Totally. Especially, just that in the afternoons. Getting out for a walk, or they can ride their bikes to the park, or it doesn't have to be a big thing, just a 10-minute, let's go out and have a wander around.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it. I think, reestablishing routines, encouraging healthy eating habits, specifically like small meals frequently, or just, as I said, trying to cut back on the sugar so there's more stable blood sugars, adding in protein to keep them fuller for longer is really important. As we mentioned, involving the kids in the meal preparation, addressing any behavioural issues just with that patience and understanding that Jane referenced. I feel with all of these things, you can really help your kids to get back on track and back into kind of an established routine pretty quickly after the Christmas holidays.
I agree. Yeah. And they will watch your example.
Yes.
So the more you're just like, right, this is what I need to put in place to parent my best.
Yes.
And you're kind of clear on that, then kids generally follow suit.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for tuning in.
Yes.
I hope you found these tips a bit helpful. And just remember, if you could help us out by subscribing, sharing this with any other parents who might benefit. And until next time, stay happy and healthy. We'll see you soon.